Hi, everybody. This is Samuel Dushalo. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to unlock your passion to fulfill your purpose. Last time, I talked about activating your purpose by following your inner GPS. And for those of you who didn't hear the last video, I'd say go listen to the last video. From what I heard from the feedback, it was valuable and people got some gems for that. But for those of you listening for the first time, I'll just kind of describe that. The GPS is basically an acronym. I think it's like an organic formula for finding your purpose. And the G stands for giftedness, your gift. The P stands for passion, and the S stands for your signature service. All this simply means, or service, let me put it that way. All this simply means is that all of us have inside of us an inner GPS. Just like when you're lost in life, you turn on your GPS and you find your location or find your destination. That's how it is when you're thinking and looking for your purpose and you don't know what it is. Think about your inner GPS, and we all have it. So, what are your gifts? I talked about that, and I kind of got in deeper with giftedness or gifts. What are your gifts and strengths on my last video? So, Chase, that's on my YouTube channel. So look that up and then listen to that. So today I'm going to focus on the passion part of the acronym or the framework to help you kind of go into that. So, again, passion. Now, I know there's this popular thing, follow your passion, follow your passion. But the truth of the matter is, I think it's not wrong, but I think it's not complete. Because if you follow your passion and you don't have the gift or a strength in that area, what you now have is a hobby. And nobody pays you for a hobby because although you're passionate about it, you suck at it. And that is not what we're saying. That you have to have both of those things or three of those things together for it to be something to follow. So you have to have a gift, which means you have the ability to do it well. It's a natural ability to do it well and do with ease and excellence and enjoyment. And then you have the passion part of it is where you actually have it. So I will not tell you to follow your passion only. I'll say that passion is part of the equation, but you have to have your gift and it has to have some kind of service that goes along with that. So I hope everybody's following along. All right, so let's go into the passion part. So I first encountered this firsthand because, I knew my gift was teaching and inspiring people. And so I left the corporate market where I described, I think on my last videos, I was disengaged. It wasn't for me. And so I made a leap into education and started to teach students, which I came alive. It was good. And I stayed there for like 5 years teaching students and I was having a ball. But slowly but surely, the creep came. And you know what I'm talking about when I say the creep. You know how you love something and then after a while it starts to get old, it starts to take its toll, and life happens. And I don't know if it's that you just outgrow it or you just get tired. And that's what happened. I just started to get tired and I had a hard year that year. And after 5 years, I was like getting close to burnout. And as I was getting close to burnout, I remember praying and I was complaining about all the things that were going wrong and all the things that was happening and this is not working. You know how we do. We were just complaining. I was complaining and complaining. And all of a sudden, a thought came to my mind while I was praying and it asked me, what do you want? And I realized in that moment that I knew what I didn't want, but I never considered what I wanted. And I think most of us are like that. If you ask people, what don't you want? They can tell you everything they don't want, what they're complaining about, what frustrates them, and all of that. But when you start asking them what they don't want, then that's a harder challenge to face. And that's where I was. I didn't know what I want. But as I was thinking, I remembered the best part of my teaching job was when people were asking me for directions of what to do with their lives. And I remember my students would say, hey, Mr. O, they call me Mr. O, what's my niche? And I'd be like, listen, you don't have a niche, you're 10, right? But the point was they were trying to find their niche in life. And I remember when I would give them guidance on that was the times that I became most alive. And that's when I realized that it's very important to realize what we actually desire in life, what we really, really want. In fact, Paul writes that it's God that gives you the desire and the power to fulfill your purpose for his good pleasure. And that's a big thing. So that inner desire that you have, that passion, that desire, is God given. In fact, I remember Denzel Washington says that passion in the heart is proof positive that what you desire is for you. And so that's very important to think about. What are you passionate about? What is that thing that lights you up that you want to do? And for most of you, you probably don't know what that is. So let me help you with this, because this is one of those mysteries. When people think of passion, very often people think about what I love to do. And so when I was a career coach for many years, I'd have clients come to my office and they'd be like, listen, I'm really passionate about music. And I'd ask them, hey, do you play the music? No. Do you sing music? No. Do you do anything with music? Well, I listened to it, and I very quickly understood where the disconnect was. When we describe passion when it comes to purpose or when it comes to work, let me give you a working definition that might be helpful for you. Because just because you have a passion for it doesn't mean it's something that aligns with what you're supposed to do with your life. Some passions are hobbies, like the passion to travel, the passion for food, or the passion for those type of things. That's all hobby and that's all desire. But when it comes to your purpose and the work that you do, let me give you a working definition. Passion is what you love to do that serves others. I'm going to say that one more time. Passion is what you love to do that serves others. So if it doesn't serve others, then it's not a passion in the sense of purpose. Your passion must serve others. I love what Oprah Winfrey says about this. She says, all of us, she said, I believe that all of us has a unique calling that's as unique as a fingerprint. And that the best way to succeed in life is to discover what you love to do and find a way to offer it to others in form of service. Whoa. So find out what you love to do and find a way to offer it to others in form of a service. So when you think about passion, think about, what do I love to do that can serve other people? So start right there, and hopefully that'll help you to kind of start to look at your passion. Then the next question I get is, Sam, how do I find my passion? Because we've been told all our lives, you find your passion, find your passion. So everybody thinks that passion is hiding somewhere behind a closet somewhere or under a bed somewhere, just waiting for you to pounce out at you and say, I am your passion, something like that. And people they're just waiting for passion to pounce on them. So let me help you with that too, because sometimes I think for the most part, most people think passion is found. And the truth of the matter is that passion is mostly developed and not necessarily found. What do I mean by that? If you've ever been interested in somebody, fallen in love, you name it, you know what I'm talking about. Most people don't have this phenomenon happen to them. Like, at least it hasn't happened to me and the many people I interview about this thing called love at first sight. Now, for some of you, it's happened, but that is not the norm. It typically starts as interest, and then it grows into passion or love, right? So for the most part, when you're thinking about passion, if you think about it as love at first sight, finding your passion is like love at first sight. It doesn't happen that way. That's why for most people, it's hard to find passion. So in a sense, you have to think about passion as interest. In fact, interest is the seed of passion. So rather than looking and finding passion, start by looking for your interests. And when you give attention to your interests, just like you give attention to somebody you're interested in, sometimes it grows into love or passion. So Give up the idea of finding your passion and start looking for your interest. And give some attention to your interests. Follow your interests. Work with your interests. Give it attention. If it's an idea, if it's a subject, study that. And then it will grow into passion. And that will lead you to your purpose. So that's how you discover it. Now, I'm going to give you a question because, again, passion leads you to your purpose, as I said. As you follow your passion, like I realized that I like to help people find their niche when I was way back then. And that led me to becoming a career coach, career counselor. And I love that work. I mean, I loved it. Helping people find their niche, helping adults kind of transition out of the work they were doing into work that they loved. I loved doing that. And today I get to, teach and speak to organizations and companies about, helping their people, specifically their talent, and with leadership and employee engagement, helping them to become more engaged in the work they do. That doesn't always mean leaving your job. In other words, you can find love in the work you do by job crafting. That's a topic for another time. But for now, I want you to know that, again, following your passion is the next step in the GPS model. Now that you know what it is, I want to give you a question to think about and to go find your passion and then pursue it. So here's the question. If money was an issue and you knew you couldn't fail, yet you still wanted to work, what would you do with the second half of your life? I want you to think about that question. If money was an issue and you knew you couldn't fail, but yet you still wanted to work, what would you do for the second part of your life? Answer that question, and maybe you might have found your passion. Passion also might be things that bother you. So are there issues, challenges, problems at work or in the world that you're saying to yourself, somebody should solve that, somebody should fix that? That person might be you. You were sent here to solve a problem. So here's my challenge to you today. Discover your passion and pursue it, and it will take you to your purpose. Well, have a good day, everyone. Listen, if you want more content like this, if this stuff is valuable to you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video so that it can go and help other people around the world who want to or wrestling with ideas like this. Anyway, see you next time. Thank you, guys.